starting with André, is generative AI really increasing productivity in your team daily work and management? How? So first, yes or no? Is it increasing productivity?
Yes.
Yes. And how do you?
I would say in 3 ways. Probably not the same experience as most of you, because I'm from a vendor. So my team is actually a team of architects, not a team of data scientists. But still, we do a lot of programming. So GitHub Copilot would be probably the most influential Gen AI tool that increases our productivity. But then there's the Bing Chat Enterprise, or the Chat GPT, that we use internally as well, because we use that to generate content and to generate code and to summarize stuff. So in the end, we use that a lot. And the new Copilots that Microsoft is releasing for Office, for Windows, for all our tools, which will be released soon, will also increase our productivity. But the first one, the one that had the most impact, was GitHub Copilot.
Okay, so Copilot is the main one. You don't ask, so what should our company do next year? Please tell us. You don't do that.
I can't.
Okay. So next question to Olga. Are you and your team or company using generative AI to improve the data science pipeline? Yes or no?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so how are you doing it?
Okay, it's a good question. I just, for people who really are so great staying here with us, I wanted to be useful and to share with you some, what we do and what you can do. First, in data science pipeline, we need to train the model and test the model. And usually data scientists are very jealous. We try to keep very, very few data points for testing and take everything for training. And the Gen AI can help, so we can generate text and images to create our test data set. So that's what we do at Wix. But please don't go and do it very simple way. Do it smart with sampling and embeddings, all the smart stuff. As at the first, we generate the test set. And the very special kind of test set we do, both speakers talked about chatbots. And chatbots, it's really hard to evaluate because it's not one test case, it's the whole conversation which should go in different ways. And you either need a person to talk with the system, or you can use generative AI to actually create these conversations. And that's what we do for the AI assistants you saw. Part of the test set is actually something generated by AI. So we do use in pipelines, and we really benefited out of it in creating test cases.
Okay, thank you, Olga. So for the next question to Rita, is your organization preparing for the ethical and legal impacts of generative AI? Yes.
Yes.
How?
So first, we are a company that has customers all over the globe. So one of the things is that when there's a regulation coming, let's say a new regulation in France, we adopt it, but we adopt it in a way that it's applicable for all of our customers and solutions. But more concretely now with OpenAI, I think it's a bit hard to predict exactly what are the regulations. So what we are doing is to try to be as transparent as we can be about what's happening in the back end. So really showing what are the steps that are taken from the moment that we get a question to give an answer. And then also trying to explain and educate both our peers and also our customers.
Okay, thank you. So for the same question, Olga, is your company also doing that? So preparing for the ethical and legal impacts of generative AI?
Yes, we do. And but we already have, we are not only preparing. So sometimes we can be proactive and anticipate what can happen. But in some cases, you need to be reactive. Something happened, right? And you need to fix it. And so we were in both situations, and we are really working on it very hard to comply with all the regulations.
Okay, thank you, Olga. So in the same line, André, does your company have an ethical committee independent of the production team, where the team has an idea, submits to the committee, has to answer to fill in a form, and to have someone thinking differently, outside of the box, and I wouldn't say validate, but at least give some important warnings to the team.
Yes, so being Microsoft, and it's actually pretty public, the efforts that are being done in the responsible AI space. There's a responsible AI standard that Microsoft released early this year. There's the responsible AI toolbox and dashboard. There's a bunch of tools that we are releasing, but then there's also these kind of commitments, internal ones, and also external. But for example, whenever a customer applies to access the Azure OpenAI service, for example, these models, has to fill in a form, it gets evaluated. And also, even when the customer comes to us with an idea for a specific product that uses AI, we are required to make an analysis and send it somewhere else if required. If, for example, that kind of use has a direct impact on someone's lives, that means, for example, using AI for justice decisions or medical diagnosis. These are specific use cases that have to be very closely monitored. And so it's not something that we allow without having someone looking into that.
Okay, thank you, André. So would you like to add something about the previous questions, productivity, for example, or?
I can add something about productivity. So one of the things that are not about productivity, I don't remember, but anyhow, one of the things that we also are using ChatGPT is to help with the labeling data.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with
more in the data science pipeline.
Yes, exactly. So it has been helpful that because it takes quite a lot of time to get data labeled.
Mm-hmm. And don't you worry that data labeled by the machine sort of is it a closed loop that may undermine the whole effort, or?
Not really.
Or is it a bit like
of course, we are cautious, but we have kind of pre-made taxonomy. And then another thing that we do is to ask it to really validate itself afterwards. Because one of the things that it happens with ChatGPT is that it tries to cover everything. So we don't want the full taxonomy to be a label of a piece of text. So we also try to take measures into making sure that it really is grasping what's really the most important or relevant label for that piece of text.
Okay. So you were showing in your presentation generation of code for web pages, for example. Do you also use that for programming and for scripting, I don't know, JavaScript or any kind of dynamical content that you have? Is that making a big difference in the productivity of your team, Olga?
I think it does, because let's say that you want to switch from one framework to another one, and you can just ask ChatGPT to help you to write code snippets. I can't say that it's like official framework of data scientist, but that's small tricks you do in your everyday life to speed up the process. So,
okay, thank you. So I think we can move to the questions from the audience. So
I actually wanted to add about ethics.
Okay.
I just we think that this topic is not about us. It's more about legal, right? And it's not about data scientists. What can data science do here? But I think for us, it's really important to focus on it, because when you ask to generate image of a professor, you will mostly see an older man. When you want to generate an image of model, you will see a woman. And that's actually what we as data scientists can change. That's what we can focus on. And it's really nice, I think, research and design topic on how we as researchers can change this bias which are caused by training data. So I just wanted to add that it's also about us, and we can help here to make the world less biased.
Thank you, Olga. So we have questions here. Actually, they don't come with a name. So question, most voted so far is, how do you manage the risk that a large language model suggests a developer to use a fake Python package that is poisoned with malware? So who wants to go first?
Well, I mean, I can go first. that goes without saying. It's the same as you go to a regular search engine or to Stack Overflow, and you get the answer from there. So in the end, the large language model is doing the same thing. It's providing you with an answer. There's always the need for a human in the loop to have some sort of understanding what the code is doing. So I don't think that the fact that you're using large language models to generate code will not remove the responsibility of the developer that's using the code.
Okay, so you always have to be careful, and you're never free of the problem. But would it be in the same sense that you have your architecture with filters and memories and the augmentations? So this could also be in the loop. So checking for example, if there's a suggestion for a package, check if the package is mentioned as malware somewhere.
Yeah,
that also have
that could be part of the life cycle.
Yeah. So would you like to add something to this, or?
I think André did a good answer.
Okay, so next question. How do you worry that the quality of the products you build with ChatGPT depend on the quality of something that is out of your company's control? So this is, I would guess, more for Olga and Rita.
I guess I missed a part of the question. So what can happen with ChatGPT out of control?
Don't you worry that the quality of the products is determined by something that is out of control, out of your control? So you cannot actually control it. Or putting it in a different way, how fine-grained can your control of the output be currently?
Oh, I think that it's a good question, and I think it raises actually a question about future of Gen AI. But currently, it's like really a problem. There are no many tools on controlling the output of these models, and that's what we should think about. So.
Okay, so this is a difficult one, but a classical one. Maybe Rita, in the long term, do you think the use of generative AI tools will limit the creation of new data-related jobs, or the contrary, it will accelerate the need for these jobs, where we'll need even more data scientists?
I don't think it will limit, but it will transform it. So for me, this is another, many years ago, we had industrial revolution, right? People were doing jobs manually, and then they had to learn how to use machines and debug them. So it's the same thing. So I think the growth is there will be more need of people in this field, because, the same way when we started doing predictions and stuff, it was in the financial field. And then it has been growing and growing, and pretty much every industry now can take leverage of using AI. So yeah, we will need more of it.
Okay, so André, do you believe we will only need prompt engineers in the near future?
Not at all. Not at all. I don't even think that prompt engineering will be that much of an actual job, as some are used to say usually. And I agree with what Rita said. So I think that we won't be replaced, but there were some changes to how we work. And so that kind of work that is very labor intensive, but not very intellectually intensive, maybe this will partly go away. But the creative part, we still need our brain, because this is still not there. Generative AI, in the end, is mimicking what humans do. It's not creating something that was never seen before. It has to be trained on something. So in the end, it's combining stuff it's seen before. So I think there's still a lot of space for humans.
Okay. So in the line of this question, Olga, what do you think will be the skills that we'll be teaching students in the university in the future when they go and study these subjects? The same things, programming, or they should learn other stuff?
Okay, so it's an interesting question. We can be here, of course, very futuristic, and we'll say that it will be a whole new agenda in the university. But I don't know. Let's be not that futuristic and think what will happen in the next 2, 3, 4 years. You still, for being a data scientist, you need to understand how the mathematics works, how machines works, because that's how you can design and improve the systems. And I think that still, like in this short term, we should focus on the old skills.
Okay, so we need to know the fundamentals.
Yeah, but
Read
Olga,
the classic.
Yes, Olga is the old lady, and yeah, that's what I think is important.
Can I add something?
Sure, yes.
In my first class at university, I studied mathematics. The teacher said, you'll be here for 5 years, and you'll not learn that much, but you'll for sure learn how to think. And I think that's also an important thing. Of course, I agree with Olga that we need to know the basics and the foundations, but we also need to really get people be critical about the things they see and question things. I think actually it's something that it's needed right now.
Okay, thank you. So now we have a very practical question. Using the ChatGPT API implies a cost per prompt. Is there any good strategy to use this API in a data science environment in a more cost-effective way? So do you know of any strategy like that? Do you do it? Or you just shoot and, and collect the bill?
There's several options. So of course, if you are, there's actually not just that way to use GPT. Okay, so that's not the only way to do it. That's called pay as you go. So you pay for the prompts you ask for, you send and you ask for. There's other options with fixed cost, for example, higher cost, of course, but fixed cost. But even if you're using it like that, to reduce it, the thing is only ask the model what you actually need to ask the model, and don't ask for more. So don't request more tokens than you need. That's the way you can optimize the cost. But in the end, if there's something you already have the answer for, store it and don't ask it again. So you don't have to spend twice the amount of money. That's the way you go. Now, if you have another way to use a large language model, either because you have it on-prem on your own data center and you don't charge for each call, or if you have a fixed contract with either Microsoft or any other provider that can provide you with a large language model at a fixed cost, then that way you can use it every day, every hour, and always pay for the same.
Okay, so a related question, a bit more difficult. Could you please suggest a cost-effective way of creating your own GPT prompt for your company? Not very clear, I guess.
Well, the prompt is just the text that you send to the model. So there's not one prompt for a company. I would say there's a lot of them depending on the task that you want.
More per use case.
Exactly. And being cost effective, you always need to test it. So in the end, there's no way around it. You need to run it at least once to see if it returns anything. So
yeah. One thing also that we are doing is that there are some tasks where there is not much of a difference between ChatGPT 3.5 and ChatGPT 4. So for instance, summarization. So for some of the things we use 3.5, which is much cheaper.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add another idea about cost effectiveness. You spend a lot of money, can spend, because you have long prompts trying to control the output. But the other way to control the output is actually take this Turbo 3.5 GPT, fine-tune it, and what the OpenAI team claims that once you fine-tune it, then you can write much shorter prompts and spend less money on ChatGPT thing.